The immigrant community is on high alert following reports of alleged immigration enforcement operations in the district.
Yeah, ICE tells CBS News they will be conducting targeted operations for the next 2 weeks in the D.C. area. And multiple sources tell our Rafael Sanchez Cruz ICE has been doing enforcement operations across D.C. today.
So here's some video that is being shared on social media, and response teams say it shows a man being taken into custody this morning by federal agents along South Dakota Avenue Northeast. Advocacy groups say ICE agents may be targeting delivery drivers, restaurants, and businesses.
Our Simone D'Alba talked with an expert about the impact the enforcement is having on our immigrant communities.
Alan Orr Jr., a local immigration attorney, joining us today to talk about a number of items in the headlines as of late. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, regarding ICE operations, can you talk us through how that process works and, most importantly, what people's rights are?
Sure. So today in the D.C. area, which means D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, there have been recent occurrences of ICE doing street stops in front of international locations, sometimes in front of schools. And when we say schools, I mean post-grad schools, international schools that have arrested a number of people throughout the city. In the street. And we've also seen ICE agents appear at different companies issuing notices of inspections, which gives them 3 days to present their I-9s. And for those companies that were issued those notices of inspection, you should actually look for help before giving the ICE those documents, because you probably may have some issues with your employees and you want to make sure that you're sort of backfilling that space. As an immigrant in this country, you have the same rights under the Constitution as everyone else. I know there's been a lot of news with regards to that, but you have those rights. And the most important thing that you have is to remain silent. So if you are an immigrant and you happen to be undocumented and you are encountered with ICE, the best thing for you to do is to possibly remain silent until you're able to get to some form of counsel.
I'm curious, ICE is saying that these aren't considered raids because they're not large-scale arrests, but rather they're targeted enforcement. I'm wondering your thoughts on that.
So I've done the meat packing company, so I will say there's a different variance of that. But if you're the employer and someone gives you a notice of inspection or they come into your company to remove a large number of people, that's a raid for you. So the name they use doesn't really matter. The effect is the same. In some cases, they're shutting down the workforce of some companies, or they're removing workers from that work site. And so while it's not a raid in the typical sense, large scale airplanes and a lot of arrests, it still disrupts businesses. And what businesses should know is if there's a public space, then ICE is welcome to come into that public space. But you should have your private work areas marked off. It says employees only, so that ICE cannot enter that without a warrant from a judge. There are two types of warrants that are issued in this arena right now in immigration. There's those that come from UCIS or DHS, which are just general warrants, which wouldn't be needed. They would need one signed by a judge to specifically get into that back area of your company where your documents are.
Now, the Trump administration is floating the idea of offering $1,000 for self-deportation. What are you telling clients about this offer, and do you know how it would work?
So the American Immigration Lawyers Association is saying being very careful about this offer because we're not exactly sure what the details are and where it could land you. And while we think that $1,000, the way that it has been laid out from the government, is cheaper, they say, than detaining someone and removing them. Well, that's only if you are removed. And that excludes many of your rights that you may have if you're taken outside the country, that you may not be able to come back. What we should understand is that immigration in this country is on a spectrum. Someone could be undocumented today, and on their way to an asylum case or a family relationship that can lead them to have status. And by abandoning all of that to remove themselves from the United States, because there's either a posting that we've seen in a lot of ICE offices or hearings that say you can remove yourself or self-deport, or taking $1,000 may ruin your opportunity to get all the way to the process that you really want, which is a green card or being able to even come back to the United States. So in all of these cases, before you think you're getting $1,000, you should consult with an immigration attorney or an immigration clinic, because we're not exactly sure what the details are, even if you're going to officially get that money.
Anything else that you would add in regard to that $1,000 offer? Anything you think people should know?
Right. So one is, the more information you give the government, the more information they're going to know about you and your family relationship. So they're mixed status families. So I would be very careful to read the details. I will post later on my Twitter, and Ayla has posted, the American Immigration Lawyers has posted a very detailed statement with regards to all the different considerations for people in different cohorts. There isn't just one undocumented immigrant. There are cohorts of undocumented immigrants who are either filing asylum in some kind of refugee process. Maybe they're in this contention with temporary protective status, and they're not exactly sure if they're protected, if it's extended by the court or not. So the very first thing, and always the smartest thing to do, is to make sure that you talk to a legal advisor, whether it be someone at Catholic Charities or IUTA in DC, or the DC bar at their immigration clinic, or if you're able to have an attorney, to speak to an attorney before you do anything, sign any documents, or put your name in any online event with the DHS or Homeland Security.